let's take a little trip back in time. You were standing in your house and feeling completely overwhelmed. It's like there's so much going on that your brain just shut off. It could not handle it. Everything is loud, something stinks, there are crumbs sticking to your feet, the clutter feels like it's closing in, and anxiety and anger are starting to bubble up and melt your insides. It's starting to seem like the best option is to leave the cleaning and other housework unfinished and just get some fresh air, because it's all so much and you just can't. That right there is overstimulation. In this video, I'll teach you what to do when you're overstimulated and what you can do to avoid feeling that way altogether. Putting these simple tips into practice will let you reduce the noise, smells, visual clutter, and other sensations that would overwhelm your brain so that you can think clearly again and get things done joyfully. So let's dive into this massive list. I'm going to divide it into a few parts and just go one sense at a time. So first up is noise. I cannot speak highly enough of the power of earplugs. Either a package of, the old-fashioned foam ones or some of the fancy reusable ones that look more like earbuds. They are an essential, and I now keep a set in my purse and a set in my cleaning cupboard just for whenever I need them. Speaking of which, if you want to make things really easy for yourself, you can put together a sensory self-care basket in your cleaning cupboard and keep that kind of things all in one place. So I keep some hair ties, those earplugs, some socks, whatever you think that will come in handy while you're cleaning. Maybe while you're listening to the rest of this video, you can grab a dollar store basket that's just laying around and gather some things for yourself. Another thing you can do to avoid sensory overload is to put on a playlist or a CD that you're really familiar with. I found that when I have at least one good thing that my ears can focus on, all of the chaos in the background just kind of isn't as important to my ears. My ears have something that they can place as the priority. While we're talking about sound, another piece of advice I have for you is to get rid of some of it by putting some fluffy things into your space. Things like throw pillows, curtains, that's the word for them. Anything that's soft like fabric will help to absorb the sound vibrations and make things less noisy. If the noise is from small humans playing in the background, one great way to handle it is to give them something that's kind of an alternative thing to do. If you have a fenced-in backyard, maybe sending them back there. My kids are still a little bit young for their own adventures. I just redirect their focus to something that they can play that's quieter. I also really love making library day the same day as deep cleaning day, because I can switch between cleaning one thing and reading them one book. And the time it takes for me to clean one thing isn't enough time for the energy level to really ramp up. So the noise level stays down pretty well. And I get a break. It's kind of nice to sit down in between tasks. We're going to switch gears now to talk about the smell. What can we do to make your nose's job more pleasant while we clean? Because smell is one of the reasons we clean in the first place, and so you can't solve all of it. But there are a few things that you can do before you start to get a head start on smell. I feel like the easiest option is to put some perfume on, just to, as you're moving around, you get a whiff of something nice. Along the same vein as putting on perfume, using a room spray can help too. Or if you're cleaning anyway, you might as well just use an all-purpose cleaner that, smells nice. Another idea is to open up the windows and completely replace the air. One of my favorite housekeeping books says that between doors, windows, vents, air purifiers, your air should be replaced at a minimum of every 3 hours. If you have a scent that is lingering longer than 3 hours, that's a sign that either your ventilation needs to be ramped up or that you have something that's in your house that you can address and eliminate the odor that way. By the way, if you're like me and you don't think to take the trash out until the end, you might consider doing it at the beginning, because it's a simple task, you can get momentum, and it'll help the room to smell cleaner as you are cleaning it. So you can sense that progress as you go. Moving on to things that are overstimulating via your eyeballs. The top of the list is don't let the messes be your unwritten to-do list. If you do, your brain will constantly be repeating the chores and never letting you really rest, because all around you is your visual to-do list. And I'll let you in on a secret that you probably already knew. Your house is never going to give you a rest. I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm telling you this to you because you're the one who needs to create those resting points. So do a little brain dump, write down your master plan, because who can hold that in their head? And once it's written down, you can select a focus, which is going to help with that visual overwhelm. Just being able to hone in on the one thing that you're in charge of in this moment can help a ton. You can also select some times to incorporate rest. As for what kind of a plan you go with, I know a lot of people like to use notebooks and binders. Mine tend to get invisible once I put them on the shelf, so I've moved away from those. And I started using an index card box, which is easier because I can just see all of the tabs at a glance, and that's all I need to see to get started on my job. More solutions for visual overwhelm are to adjust the lighting. Sometimes it's too bright, sometimes it's not bright enough. You can clean your glasses, reduce the glare. I know sometimes I just feel that eye strain coming in, and the solution is to clean my glasses, but I never think of that. So I have to remind myself. Another option is to wear a hat to physically reduce your periphery. And of course, to break down the mess into smaller sections, like only work on the blue things or the red things or just the dishes or the toys. Probably my favorite option is to make one thing pretty. It doesn't have to be big, just make one thing pretty, and then the mindset becomes not just, oh, everything's terrible, I need to clean everything. It can be, wow, this is beautiful, let's get the whole house to match. My last tip for visual overwhelm is to take before and after pictures, or before and progress pictures. And it's because you've seen enough before and after pictures to understand that it's supposed to look a little bit wild in the first picture. And if you can get your brain to accept that, it won't feel so overwhelmed by it. So go ahead and take a before picture and plan on sharing, a before and after picture with your family around the dinner table. We're going to skip the sense of taste because I hope you're not licking things clean. But like I said, if you want to put some hard candies in your sensory basket, you can, suck on a lifesaver while you clean. We need to talk about how touching things, though, can be a sensory nightmare while we're cleaning. I'm sure you remember very well the experience of washing dishes and then your hand sinks into a glob of soggy food. We are going to figure out some workarounds so that you won't have to stop and gag in the middle of being productive. First up, armor. A physical shield between you and the thing. I keep these disposable gloves around. I know some people really like dish gloves. They give me the ick. I've also recently been seeing gloves that have a fabric inside and a waterproof outside, and I think those look great. If you want to go all out, though, you don't have to stop at gloves. You can find vinyl aprons that are waterproof. Or if it's not a wet mess, maybe it's a dusty mess, you can get a cloth face mask or a disposable one, of course, a headscarf, long sleeves, short sleeves. You can also wear socks to protect from a crummy floor, or cleaning shoes, indoor shoes that aren't gonna track in dirt from outside. Go all out. If gloves come with their own sensory issues for you, so you can start to break down that psychological barrier between you and touching the thing by touching other clean things on purpose that are kind of like it. I actually find I'm most motivated to wash the dirty dishes right after putting the clean ones away. So, touch a clean dish, get your hands wet, touch some soapy water, one change at a time. You can also go about it by tackling each problem separately in stages. So before you dive into soap and leftover soup in the sink, you can scrape off the old food and rinse the residue so that when you are washing things in the sink, you're washing something that's already visually clean. There is not one right way to clean a dish or to wash your house or to sweep your front porch. The right way to do it is the way that gets it done. And if you needed permission to use a tool that does not give you the ick, here is your permission. I do not like sponges, and so I use a dish rag or a little scrubby that can go in the laundry machine. My husband uses a long-handled scrub brush, and I think that nobody likes to be within arm's reach of a cobweb. You can use a broom with a rag tied to the end of it. Another thing to know is that it's easier to touch a thing if your other senses tell you that it's an okay thing to touch. So that ties back into making sure that the room smells okay, that your sounds in the background aren't causing you stress. And try setting a timer for like 2 minutes and make your periphery as pleasant as possible. You don't have to get too distracted and go into an organizing frenzy, but you can put clutter in a basket real quick. You can put on some white noise, make the room smell nice, and it's not going to be perfect, but you'll free up that space to focus on the sensory input that is inherent in that task that you're trying to get done. We are done with touch sensations, but sometimes your body can create its own sensory problems. And this especially comes up when you get so deeply in the zone that you tune out your basic physical needs like eating and rest. And I want you to understand, if you are spending a whole afternoon in an unhealthy way, suppressing your body's signals, your approach makes cleaning your space stop being the act of care that it is and starts turning it into an absolute chore. Having a clean home feels good. And so take care of yourself, not only by having a clean house at the end, but also doing it in a way that's kind to yourself in the meantime. Take a bathroom break, eat a snack, schedule breaks into your plan when you did that brain dump. Keep a water bottle handy, so maybe in between things that you're doing, you can drink some water. And keep that sensory basket somewhere handy, because taking care of your body and taking care of your space are not mutually exclusive.